Hold up. Every day I wake up, wake your ass up.
The Breakfast Club.
Y'all finished or y'all done?
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got some special guests in the building this morning.
Yes, indeed.
DeVon Franklin, Serayah, and Tyler Lepley. Welcome.
Hey.
How y'all feeling? What?
If you call her Serayah
one
more time,
Serayah?
I'm
sorry, Serayah.
Serayah needs something. Sounds like something I got to go to CVS for. I got to get something for the Serayah on my arm.
if you just read
Serayah,
it,
all right.
how it's spelled.
You want to talk to me about reading?
Because I got a lot better. Don't do that.
You did get a little better.
Thank you.
This is a godly film.
Amen.
Welcome. Hey, how y'all feeling this
Happy
morning?
Sunday.
Good morning. Good
Welcome
morning.
to the family.
Thank you.
They have a movie on Netflix called Ruth and Boaz, right? And you know, if you know anything about Ruth and Boaz, it's a biblical story. So what elements of the original biblical story of Ruth and Boaz did y'all preserve for this film?
Man, we preserved a lot of the elements. I mean, when you go and you read the book of Ruth and then you look at the movie, you know, everything that we did in the film was basically rooted in the word. You know, her journey, you know, with Naomi, how she finds Boaz. And we really wanted to say, okay, this is what the scripture says, but then how do we make it modern? And so everything you see in the film, I think we did a pretty good job, you know, of making sure that anything that you see in that film, you can go back to a verse and say, this is where we got it from.
Was it difficult modernizing the story, though?
I mean, there's no rule book on how to modernize a Bible story. So it was challenging, but then there were certain things that were pretty easy because the story itself lays out like a movie.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to produce it. This is why I wanted to make it, is because when you see how Ruth and Boaz come together, they're not looking for love. They're actually looking to be of service. And as part of that commitment, they find each other. And so when you see it, it was like, okay, you know, well, what would Moab look like? Well, maybe that's like the Atlanta music scene. And what would, you know, Bethlehem look like? Okay, well, maybe that's like Pegram, Tennessee. So it was difficult, but ultimately we just had to kind of take those creative licenses and hopefully the audience will enjoy it.
Now, you have a deal with Tyler Perry. How did that come about?
Man, so listen, so about a couple years ago, after I did my film Flamin' Hot, I'm sitting at home and I didn't have a production deal. So if you know anything about Hollywood, in order to have a production company, you have to have a production deal with the studio because that's how you have employees and that's how you make your films. So even though Flamin' Hot did very well, I did not have a deal. And so I was sitting at home and I was like, okay, God, what do you want me to do? And out of the blue, my phone rings and it's Tyler Perry.
Wow.
And he said, hey man, I hear you're making a deal with Netflix. Now I had a meeting at Netflix a few months before, but I didn't know, there wasn't really a whole lot of follow-ups. I wasn't sure what was going on. But he called me and said, yo, I hear you're making a deal with Netflix. Let's partner up and do it together. And I was like, yes, let's do it. And so we negotiated a 3-picture deal with Netflix. This is the first of its kind. You've never seen, you know, 2 black men of faith coming together to make content of faith, you know, with the biggest streamer in the world. And that to me, like when you look at Tyler, like, I don't know why God put that on his mind, but here I am trying to figure it out and boom, and there was the answer. And to be able to make Ruth and Boaz, I mean, to be able to make it the way we wanted to make it, to have the creative autonomy and the authority and to be able to put it together, you know, with such an incredible cast, it all came from the partnership.
Yeah.
Dope.
How did it feel? Because when the screen opens for the movie, it's your name and then it's Tyler Perry Studios. And I was like, that is so cool. How did it feel for you the first time you saw that on screen?
Listen, this is what faith works. That's how it felt. It felt gratifying. You know, as a kid, I always had the dream of making my own films.
Yeah.
That's why I came to Hollywood. I wanted to have my own production company. And to see that on screen, DeVon Franklin Entertainment, Tyler Perry Studios, and Ruth and Boaz, it's like, wow, dreams do come true and faith works. So it felt good.
So Serayah and Tyler, did y'all know the story of Ruth and Boaz?
Serayah.
Serayah, I'm sorry. It's him. It's him. I'm sorry, Serayah. It's him. I knew that too, my dumb ass. I'm sorry. That was him. Serayah and Tyler, did y'all know the story of Ruth and Boaz?
I did, like roughly, you know, just growing up in church, you hear of Ruth and Boaz, but I had never really explicitly read the book of Ruth, and until doing this story, getting more information on it.
Yeah, I mean, not to sound like a heathen, but I didn't grow up in the church or nothing like that. But I have heard about, I have heard about the story of Ruth and Boaz a little bit. So when it was time to actually dive into it, once I had booked it, I read up on it a little bit to just at least have some type of foundation in terms of, finding the truth and how we're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
So after you read it, Serayah, how much of Ruth's story could you relate to?
Personally, she went through so much. She has a lot of baggage and trauma there, deep traumas. But I do resonate with her on having an instinct to reroute and change things in my life, and maybe stepping out on faith on things that I'm not necessarily sure is going to work out. But hey, I want to be an actress. That sounds pretty far-fetched to a lot of the world. So I can get where her fire and her passion is coming from.
She uses. Oh, go ahead.
How are you?
Huh?
How are you?
I'm
You just had a
good.
baby. Mommy hair looks good on you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is
Thank
your
you.
mental, everything is good? I mean, because you're working. You had that baby. You working out. You know, you're mommy, but now you're still actress, singer, mommy. How does that all fit?
It's actually one day at a time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and just having that grace for myself that I don't have to have it all together.
No.
Has been the biggest, I guess, lesson for me throughout all of this. But it's been great. Thank God. I mean, you know, after that first month where I was like, you know, now it's just like, I could use some sleep, but that's about it. I'm good.
Good.
I want to ask, you know, when doing a faith-based movie, right? Growing up as a kid, when you hear anything faith-based, you thinking it's going to be nothing but Christian singing. It's going to be that type of thing. Did you ever think about, well, maybe I don't want to do it because it's faith-based, or did you just dive right in?
You have any thoughts?
Personally, no. I mean, I feel like God has always been very much a part of my life. And I do think that.
Why are you laughing? Something made you laugh.
Yeah, because DeVon, actually, we worked on Kingdom Business together, BET Plus, which was also faith-based. And I really feel like sometimes God is funny in the way of presenting me with characters that I kind of like in life are a little bit mirroring as far as like their relationship with God. So it's kind of funny for me to have played Rebel in Kingdom Business and now Ruth and Boaz, right? So that's why I laughed. But no, it really did not deter me at all. If anything deterred me, it was the music element.
Right.
Because I played so many music characters. So that was the part that I was like,
that took a little
I don't
convincing.
know.
I was like, come on, Serayah, come on.
She said no at first?
She didn't want to come in to audition because it was a little music driven. So I had to hit her up. I was like, yo, trust me, you're going to want to do this. Come on in. And so thankfully she did.
Thank
So
God
what was
I
it
did.
mirroring in your life, Serayah? Because you know this story is about God's timing and divine orchestration. So what was going on in your life when you got the call for this?
Oh my goodness. So much, but I could say that love was also on the brink for me. Like I was in a new relationship. With this role, I found out I was pregnant, like during while filming. There was a lot of things kind of with Ruth that I was in the script, and some of the things she says kind of just rang true for me. Yeah.
What about you, Heathen? What you did you dive right in?
Yeah, I think for me, you know, when I got the call, I was just in a space last year. I mean, even before last year, you know, like I said, I never grew up in the church, but it was something that I was always seeking. You know what I'm saying? It was sought after for me. And, you know, it started spiritually, but then I kind of wanted to go to church more and, you know, just show up in the place of worship, not just to kind of feel it on the inside. So I think for me, outside of the artistry, me wanting to be able to tackle a role like this, I've never done a love story before. You know, the aspect of it being a faith-based film is actually something that was kind of right on time for me. You know, I had just proposed to my at the time, you know, my girlfriend. We were obviously my fiance now. So even
Congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate that. But even
And her name Miracle.
Right.
Period.
Amen. But even, you know, making a choice to go ahead and honor our union under God, and, you know, making that choice and walking forward in it, or you know, I've had some issues in life where, you know, choosing to handle it with grace is something that's continuing to be on the forefront of my mind and whatnot. So it was just perfect timing. So I actually love diving into the faith-based aspect of it.
Love that.
In the movie, both of you guys spent, Serayah and Tyler, y'all spent a lot of time learning to trust each other's love so that you guys can depend on each other. What from your real aspects of your relationship did you bring into that to be able to like show it on screen?
I think for me, just, you know, without getting you know, too specific in terms of what's going on day to day, I think just the idea of pouring into my relationship as opposed to you know, showing up to the table, figuring out what I'm going to eat. You know,
Yeah.
let's pour into it and be of service. And I feel like that's the best way to bear the fruits of any
That's right.
flower. You know, so that's probably what I what I connected with in terms of me and Boaz.
Being intentional.
Yeah, being intentional with what it is that we're doing here. We're not just we're not just walking down this path aimlessly.
I love that.
I definitely resonated with her having a guard up. I was in a past relationship, public relationship. I have gone through different things in my life that just presented me to it resulted me to being a little more guarded. So I really understood her being guarded, because it wasn't that she wasn't trying to accept or, excuse me, she was trying to be difficult. I think she just was tired of being let down. So her guard is like, let me just keep everyone out there so that I don't have to be hurt over here anymore.
I was working with the icon, the legend, Miss Felicia Rashad.
Oh
That was
my
gas.
gosh. Talk about it. She said something really cool. I mean, it was amazing for me. I think we all have really cool stories about her. She brings this aura and this presence and this groundedness, and she's also very humble. Like, to be the icon and the person we're speaking about, she's like, oh, thank you. Like, let's talk about you now. And I think that's really cool. Aspect to her. We many times in our cast chairs, we're just talking about like relationships and just different things. Like, she's a really, really dope human being.
Y'all did use a stunt double when she got pushed down. Like,
I would hope so. I would hope so.
Yes,
I would
we
hope
did.
so.
Okay.
And
Just
she-
making
and
sure.
the thing about her is she was cool with being on the ground.
No.
So she did.
No.
She did. She was. Yes.
I said,
The
why
thing
would
about her
you have
is
them
that
push her to the ground.
she was like, yo, stop it. Like, I got it. So she did do,
Wow.
she didn't get the hit part, but she definitely fell on the
She
ground.
wanted to,
She wanted to.
yeah.
And that's, I'm
Really?
telling you, when
How far did she
like-
fall?
she fell, far enough to make it
It
look
was
good.
enough. It was like, literally, my heart. I was like, oh my God, why would y'all do that?
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is Miss Felicia Rashad. Like, you cannot just put her on the ground
But
like that.
the reason why she is that way is because she takes her craft seriously.
Yeah.
And not only that, I mean, to what Serayah was saying, every day that she was on set, her aura, she brought, excellence, she brought grace, she brought a sense of calm and peace. And I'll never forget, one day we were shooting at the location for her house, and it overlooks a lake. And so in between setups, I hear this voice saying, DeVon, come here. And I turn around, and it's Miss Felicia. She's sitting on a bench. She says, come here. And she pats on the bench. She says, sit down. And I said, yeah. She said, you're working really hard. This is your movie, but you got to breathe.
Wow.
You got to take all this in.
Wow.
Don't just, rush through the fruits of your labor. Take it in. And I said, wow. I took a moment to breathe, and then we started talking about, our histories and, sharing stories. And I said, wow, this is what it's like to have an elder in your presence. They see the potential and they see it, but they also want you to know, hey, life is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
Wow.
Relax, enjoy. And so that's a moment that just speaks to who she is.
Do you ever get imposter syndrome in those moments? Like when you're doing a film and you ever think to yourself, like, oh man, I'm doing a film for Netflix. I got Felicia Rashad, I got Serayah, I got Tyler Lepley, I'm with Tyler Perry. Like,
No, I don't get imposter syndrome. I mean, because I've been working in entertainment since I was 18 years old, and I've been working specifically, in film ever since then. And so when I'm making a movie, I'm making a movie like from a place of experience and expertise, and nobody knows how to make a movie of faith that's commercial better than me.
Yeah.
And so I and that's not based upon arrogance. That's just based upon confidence and experience and having done it time and time and time again. And so when I'm on set, if anything, I'm like, okay, what am I not thinking about? Is there, and then also, wanting to make sure that they're good. At the end of the day, I can do all things I can do, but at the end of the day, if the talent doesn't feel, if I'm saying, hey, I want to make movies of inspiration and faith, and the experience behind the scene isn't inspirational or positive, then I think it kind of undermines what I'm trying to do. And I make sure that they're good.
now I'm glad you said that, because the film portrays these ideas of worthiness and acceptance, especially in regards to Boaz's like evolution and transformation. So yeah.
It was important. That was really important, because I really wanted, any man watching this movie, any woman as well, but specifically, any man watching this movie to see themselves in Boaz. And I think one of the things that's so, noble and powerful, and also the way that Tyler plays Boaz is, with the care and the tenderness. And he's not looking to get from Ruth; he's looking to give to Ruth. And I think that's a different dynamic. And I really wanted to make sure that was articulated and portrayed, because that to me is where love is.
Yeah.
Love that comes out of sacrifice. And I'm not trying to get from you.
Yeah.
He didn't need anything from her. All he really, I mean, what was cool about Ruth, all she provided him was a safe space to be able to talk, to be able to communicate, to be heard. And that is how she expressed her love. And he expressed his love through giving to make sure she knew she was okay. So that was important to me.
As far as casting went, right? Like, did you say, because I feel like every role that Tyler plays and every role that Serayah plays, it seems like it's specifically for them. They just do a great job with it. Did you know who you had in mind when you said, okay, I want to do Ruth and Boaz story?
When I started the process, I didn't. I just was working on getting the script right. Mike Elliott and Corey Tynan wrote the script, and our amazing director, Alana Brown, directed the movie. And so once we got into the casting process, that's when I said, oh, this is Serayah. And so I kept hitting up her team, like, hey, when's she coming in audition? And then that's when I finally, ultimately called her and said, hey, come in. And then when she auditioned, it was like, oh, well, there's Ruth. But with Boaz, I didn't know that Tyler Lepley was going to come in. I knew, I wanted a guy who, had the gravitas, who had the sex appeal, but also had the heart. But I didn't know that he was, it wasn't even a thought.
Right.
And then we had a couple guys we were chemistry reading with Serayah, and at the 11th hour, Tyler Lepley sends in a self-tape. And I watched the self-tape, and I'm like, well, there's Boaz.
Yep.
I mean, without any direction. He just dropped into the essence of the character. And we were like, okay. And we did it, and we brought him in, did a chemistry read, and it was evident that they were the ones destined to play these parts.
You
Tyler,
never
how'd you know
know
this was for
God's
you?
plan.
That's right.
I had to finish real quick.
Oh,
You
I'm
never
sorry.
know God's plan because Tyler said that it was right on time for him because he was already talking to the Lord. All right, my bad.
Amen. What you saying?
I was gonna say, how did you know this one was for you? Because you sent in that tape immediately. So how did you know that this part's for me?
I think it really dawned on me after I had sent the tape in. We did the chemistry read, which was funny too because we were actually on a different set shooting something else together. So that was a unique experience. But after I had booked it, we had a scheduling conflict with this and P Valley. We were shooting at the same time, and there was a period of time where per the line producers, these are the ones who deal with the schedule. This wasn't going to work. So there was a few days, like even me and DeVon were, kind of chatting back and forth on the text, and the energy was kind of like, all right, well, I'll see you, I'll catch you next time.
Damn.
And it was like, damn. That's what
That's what hit you with a hot. I'll see you next time.
I said, man, there was something about this that just felt special because of kind of what I was talking about earlier. Trying to get in touch with the Lord, and then. It just felt like this was going to be special, and I was like, man, I ain't going down without a fight. I played baseball for 1 year, and I was always striking out, but I was always going down, looking. My mom told me like, man, you got to at least if you're going down, you got to swing. So I was like, all right, well, let me pick the phone up, let me call DeVon, and let me call Couture because everybody at the studio is saying they can't figure this out, and really. It was because of you and Couture, the reason that I was blessed enough to be able to step into this role. You know what I'm saying? So as I look back on it, hindsight is always 20/20. When I look at how God orchestrated it, it was like, man, I was right on point. This is something that I felt like I was destined to do. So I appreciate you.
No, absolutely. I would just interject on that. What God has for you is for you, and so Couture and I, got on the phone and went through that schedule and said, okay, you need him here, I need him here. Okay, I can't give you that date, but can you give me that date? And then we went to the line producers and then the studios and say, this is what it is. And a lot of times they're like, well, you got to have insurance. I said, nah. Me and Couture, a brother and a sister, we worked it out. Because he needs to be able to do both.
Love that, man.
So whatever is for you, just stay in it and keep fighting for it.
Yeah.
Because when it's meant to be, it'll be.
Well, we fought for that thing. We did that.
Sure did. That was a tag team.
We did that. Yes, we did.
That's why it's so important to be working with people that understand you and look like you too, because y'all advocated. That's so big, having a person that will advocate for you.
1,000%.
Yeah.
It's critical.
The secular ambitions that Ruth has, right? But the spiritual calling she's dealing with too. Have any of y'all ever had to deal with that in the industry? And if so, how did you resolve it?
I'm sorry. What was it again?
The secular ambitions that Ruth has, but also the spiritual calling she's dealing with. Have y'all ever had that battle with y'all personal experiences in in the industry? And
It's
how
been
did
a
you
long
resolve it?
week. Break it down secular in layman's terms. What's that?
Secular is worldly.
Not non-religious.
Nigga shit. I don't know. Like,
That's a perfect example.
trying
Nigga
to
shit.
be
Yeah.
successful, like money, cars, jewelry. But God is saying,
Got
no,
you.
I want you to be over here.
Yeah, for sure. I would say for me, when I was coming out of, now I'm from right outside of Philly, and I was, on my own level, I was making a little bit of money. I was kind of doing my thing, at least so I thought. But nothing made sense for me to go out to LA, But something was calling me. I felt like God was, God was pushing me in that direction, and it was, it was a battle to leave everything that I've ever known, to chase something that I've never seen. But I feel it. Yeah. And so I do feel like I can connect with Ruth on that, because I forget what the actual line is, but like it's one of those lines, one of those memorable lines where she talks about God is leading me somewhere else, and it's nothing that anybody else around me may really be able to understand. But it's something that I feel, and it's something that I'm going to honor. So I really connected with Ruth on that aspect for sure.
What about you, Serayah?
Ooh, I don't know if I've ever felt like I was being pulled away from what God wanted for me, or what I felt like innately inside of me. But I could say that it is hard to navigate when you do have that voice inside of you, because there is a lot to there's a lot to be involved with when it comes to our industry. So when thinking about it from that aspect, I can say I said no to a lot of hangouts and dealings with people, and thank God I did, because I didn't really know why I was saying no, but I just knew I didn't feel necessarily comfortable, or I felt like a weird vibe, so I just decided not to be out and about and doing different things. And now looking back on that, I am grateful that I kind of followed that voice, because there are a lot of situations I realized that, oh yeah, that person was definitely up to no good, asking me to do A, B, and C. You know what I mean? So I think that there's definitely a lot of that while navigating this industry, for sure.
What about you, DeVon? Because you have answered your calling, spiritual calling.
Yeah.
But you still want to be successful in this business.
Sure. I mean, for me, it was like the ambition always has been to go to a secular environment, right? When you look at Hollywood, I mean, some may argue it's one of the most secular environments on the planet. But for me, when I first started, I didn't know I was going to be making content that would be inspirational or faith-based at all. But I did have a sense of, I don't want to compromise my soul to open the door of this business. Absolutely. So like at 18 years old, first internship interview, they asked me, this is when it was for the company that managed Will Smith. And they said, is there anything else you want us to know? And I said, well, I observe Sabbath. So if taking this internship would require me to work on the Sabbath, I won't take it. So at that point in time, I wasn't really doing it consciously. I was just saying, this is my conviction, like I don't want to compromise who I am and my identity for this business. And then what happened was they said, sure, no problem. And I got the internship. And every job that I've ever had goes back to that internship. And so what that showed me is that you can be in a secular environment and still maintain your spirituality, because I don't believe that God would ordain success for any of us that requires us to compromise who we are. Because if it's like, wait, if it's God, no, honor who He's created you to be. And if that door opens, walk through it. But if it doesn't, do not conform yourself to get that, because what's on the other side of that door is you're going to need the faith that you left and the identity you left outside the door to be successful. So
that's the scariest part.
Yeah. So for me, it was just about incorporating the essence of who I am and the identity and the spirituality and being a Christian, and allowing God to navigate my path in this, secular environment.
Earlier, Serayah, when you guys were talking about you almost not answering the call to do the role, did you say it was because music was involved? So that was something you didn't want to do anymore?
Well, yes and no. I think that there are because of the last few roles that I have done or been a part of, had that female who was, navigating, but also had a music element. And I am also putting out music. And so I wanted to just be mindful of just where that was placing me. But honestly, like DeVon said, this film is a lot more than the music. It's not just the music. And I didn't know it at the time, but I got to work with Babyface, so that was amazing.
Yeah.
But that was kind of like my reasoning behind it, just wanting to, play different characters. That's really all it is, in expanding my creativity and things like that.
There's such a connection in the film between, you mentioned Atlanta and Tennessee, but like I feel like the way that we watch you go from being in the group that you were in to then getting into country music to then going to gospel, it tells a story about like how all the music genres are intertwined. Can y'all talk about like, displaying that, but also putting that in the film and why that was important?
Was it always country music?
Yeah.
Oh, it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I wasn't
yeah.
sure. Well, because when I got the records to sing and here are the records, the file of records I'm listening to, I'm like, okay, they are like very country. And I've never sang country, although I love country. I've just never recorded a country record. So when I started to record them, and then when I got in with Babyface, I was like, wow, I really love this on my voice, because you're able to really like show a certain level of emotion in those records that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I mean, it was our writer, Mike Elliott, who was inspired by Cowboy Carter. And the renaissance of black music and country, and he was the one that said, let's put her on a journey where even though she's going back to Tennessee, what she's discovering is her voice, and this kind of country music really becomes the vehicle. So that was his idea, and I was like, oh, that's brilliant. And then when you see Serayah sing these different records in the film, it feels very authentic. And then when you talk about Babyface coming in and not only playing himself, but he actually produced the song at the piano, his version of it, The Goodness of God. And then the song that Ruth sings to express her love to Boaz is an original Babyface song that he wrote and produced for the film, which is pretty amazing.
Wow.
Y'all had somebody crying, and then one of the producers, Sim, she was crying that you were singing one of the songs. It was like one of... So it always makes her cry, but she was like, her voice is so beautiful. So she was actually crying. She was watching the movie.
Wow.
So she was crying when you were singing that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was the Goodness of God song.
She said it was
I'm
a
not
gospel
sure, but she
song.
did
Yeah,
say it was
that's
gospel.
what it
Yeah, and I
was.
come in there talking
Wow.
about something about Sexy Red, and she turned around crying. I'm like, what happened? And she said, it was the goodness of God. I was like, oh, wow. Yeah. And Tyler, I didn't know what secular meant either. I ain't gonna-
How y'all go to church and don't know what secular mean?
What?
You ain't never heard an old church lady say, that's secular music, turn that secular music.
No, he didn't grow up in the
He said he
church.
didn't grow
I
up in the
did, and
church.
ain't none of my old folks ever say the secular stuff. No, they didn't.
So I got to get ready to read up on something.
Yeah. So
What does it mean for you to retell a Bible story, DeVon? Because I know the church folks, if you get it wrong, they could be on your head.
I know, and they might, but for me, it's like when I think about Tyler Perry and I having this deal, the genesis of this story was very organic. I had been doing a sermon series on what it means to be what it meant to be single, as I was navigating my season of singleness, and in the sermon series I started studying the book of Ruth, and in the book of Ruth, as we were talking about earlier, it's very interesting. Neither of them are looking for love at all. As a matter of fact, when Ruth makes the commitment to go serve Naomi says, "Go back.
yeah,
You're not going to find love where I'm going." And Ruth says, "It ain't about love. It's about you. And where you go, I go." And that idea of committing to something greater than ourselves, our purpose, our calling, and then as a reward of that, as part of the journey, then we receive love. That really spoke to me. So, I was like, I think we need to make this a movie. I said, this has never been done before. And then I did my research, and there had never been a modern version of this story that had ever been told, and definitely not a modern version, with people of color. So I think this is the first Bible, inspired movie that has ever been done this way. And so what it meant to me was like being able to start our deal rooted in the Word was really, strong and very significant. And again, there is no rule book on how to do it.
Yeah.
So everything that we did in this film and the creative license that we took to interpret scripture for a modern time, other filmmakers would do something different. But everything, I feel very confident when people see this film and they read the Word, they'll say, oh, okay, this is cool. And then there will be some be like, well, you left this part out. Well, you're right. We had to make a 90-minute film,
So expound on that. What does it mean to tell the story through a black lens then?
Oh my goodness, it's everything. Because I feel like, especially when you look at faith-based content, the majority of it tends to be white evangelical content. And there have rarely been, movies of faith that feature, diversity, that are made by, producers, directors, writers of color. Like that, this is almost like a brand new thing. I mean, the last movie that I was involved with that did that was Jumping the Broom. And that was when I was an executive at Sony and oversaw that film. And that was, 2011?
Yeah.
So, it's very significant to show that, people of color are people of faith. And not just that, we want great content too, and that this segment, of the faith-based audience and the general market who, want content that is diverse and that does celebrate that. This is the type of movie to let people know, like, we're here.
Yeah.
And we want more. And so that was very, very important for me to make sure that was represented.
Now because you said it's a 3-picture film,
deal.
right? 3-picture deal. So the other 2 are going to be rooted in the Word as well. You're going to do other biblical stories?
No,
Okay.
I don't know what the third one's going to be, but the second one is actually going to be a true story. I can't speak about it yet because if I speak about it, they're going to give me. But you're going to hear about it very soon. It's a true story. It's an amazing, uplifting story. We have one of Hollywood's biggest stars that's going to star in the film. And I'm really excited about it. So for me, like, I'm excited to see what stories come together, and what stories. So I don't go into it saying, okay, I want 1, 2, and 3 to be this.
Yeah.
I pray, I stay open to God, and he just, aligns me with the right stories to tell at the right time.
And the craziest thing is, right, because I've been dealing with a lot. So I wasn't even going to come in to work today, but God had told me, like, you know what, DeVon might got a role for you, so just go. So I was like, I'm just coming here. And
I'm so glad.
You know what I mean? I was like, what?
I got you.
So that's
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
And
If you down to audition, I do got you, actually.
Absolutely down to audition.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm for real.
Yeah.
In the new movie, there is a very significant part that you would be like, you're like the prototype.
Thank you.
Look at that.
And I grew up in the church, so it'd be easier
cool.
with me.
What if you said it's a crackhead that needs saving, and we need you to crack
What?
We got to work out schedules now. It might be like a Lepley thing type of thing, you know what I mean? Because just got a job now, you know what I mean? We got to figure that out.
Exactly.
Take me away.
Just already
with y'all.
agreed to role, DeVon. Like, I got a very specific role.
Ain't no crack, nigga. It ain't none of that. There's none of that. Shut up.
But one of the themes,
I love it.
one of the themes about Ruth and Boaz is faith and providence, right? Y'all know what providence means? Okay, but it talks about how God works through ordinary people to shape history. And I wanted to ask you as a minister, we always hear about the Bible. In the Bible, it talks about God working through ordinary people. What's considered an extraordinary person?
I think that when you think of extraordinary, you think of someone you don't feel you can become.
Right.
So you look at the greatest of the greats and you say, oh, well, I could never be that. And when you look at the word, God's like, no, look at David. Look at Joseph. These were people that nobody thought would be anything, but I use them. So I think that's what it means. I think when people think like, oh, someone who's extraordinary is someone that I can't touch.
Well, so who's the examples of that in the Bible? In the Bible, it's all full of just, all of us are just ordinary people, as John Legend said.
Well, this is true. This is very true.
It's the truth, though.
No, I agree with that. I mean, when you look at the Bible is, and I think people highlight that as a way to make sure that anyone reading the Bible reads it from a lens of relatability.
Okay.
Because sometimes, when you're looking at these biblical stories and the amazing things that happen, you can say, well, God, I don't see you doing that in my life. So I think it's more about relatability, to understand that, the book is not about extraordinary people. It's about ordinary people serving an extraordinary God. And if you can then relate to that, then you can believe that extraordinary God can do something extraordinary in what you may perceive as your ordinary life.
You always want to know with all three of you guys, your relationships are all public, right? How do you turn it off to say, you know what, F what's going on social media, I got to dive into a character. I got to make sure I'm present every time. I got to make sure that I'm the best me, so Tyler's the best Tyler, and that, how do y'all do that? Or do you? Maybe you don't. Maybe
mine's I got a unique way of thinking about it. I feel like it's a bit harsh, but it just it's just my reality. It just is what it is. And I've been like this since before I was in a relationship, before I had kids. It's kind of just who I am. I feel like I came from a life of mediocrity. I feel like I've done that. I feel like I've settled. It's what made me kind of leave being from right outside of Philly. And I think for me, the way I look at it is like either either I'm gonna be that what I see when I close my eyes and I think about like everything that I'm trying to be. I'm gonna be on the top of that mountain, or I'm gonna be, you know, in a box. So there is no in between really for me. So if I'm really gonna go ahead and take that shot, you know, what is it that you have to do in order to get that? You're gonna have to really lock in and be focused and really have like a, you know, an unwavering sense of it. So when it comes down to that, and I gotta, you know, my fiance may be calling me about this, or my parents may be calling me about that, and you know, we're all humans outside of our professional life. And when that feels like it's really starting to weigh on me, that's when I know I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Even though it's tough and it kind of sounds like it's a little harsh to think about it like that, you know, you know, no one that leaves the storm, you know, the one that leaves the storm isn't the one that walks into it. That's what the storm is really about. No one likes to get rained on. But you know, when you're in those things, when you're in those storms, you got to understand that God is really just sharpening your sword so that you can get to the top of that mountain.
I like that perspective, man. I love what
So
you said when you
true.
said when you feel it weighing on you.
Yeah.
You know you.
I feel like that's the fight. Now we in it. You know?
Serayah?
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I feel like for me, yeah, I've always had this kind of like work ethic that kind of just it's in every fiber of me. I think that that's something that the people around me know and they accept and they appreciate and respect. Even my best friends, like I've had to miss so many things over the past 10 years, you would know, with my best friends, with my family, and just different things. So I think that also choosing the partner that I have, he understands, right? Because he has a similar lifestyle.
He's in the industry, right? Yeah.
Right. Also, it helps a lot. But when, like you said, when things do get overwhelming, I think that for me, it became very important in this past year to advocate for myself and to express that, hey, this is, excuse me, this is what's going on for me. And today looks like this for me. And can we talk about this, you know, later? Because sometimes everyone makes their emergency like your urgency. Do you know what I mean? And I'm such a person that wants to satisfy everyone that I love so much, where it can be to a fault sometimes. So I've really had to learn how to just communicate what it is I actually need. And it tends to work because of, oh, you're right, my bad. I forgot you may be been at work since 4:30 this morning, you know, just different things. Sometimes you just have to kind of like throw that out there so that they can be like, all right, cool. We're going to talk about this later, whatever the case may be.
Did you learn that, Serayah, did you learn that from new motherhood or preparing for motherhood? Or did you, I know you said you took a lot away from leaving the last relationship and having to transition into your happy place now. Like, what did you learn that from?
Yeah, you know what? To be honest, I give credit to my partner, to Joey. Wow. He's an amazing communicator.
Salute to Joey.
Yeah, and
he also does the work on himself, though.
He does, and he really does. I'm there every day. He really does. He's really reading all the books. He's doing it all. So, I've really have learned how to communicate better just from him, kind of like just showing that, because sometimes I would feel before that some people can make you feel like communication is too much. Yes. So you kind of learn how to hold back what you need to express so that you make them comfortable. And I feel like in this relationship, I've really learned to open up that communication and be like, hey, I'm feeling like this today, just so you know. You know, it's a lot. I'm tired. Right. And then we can go from there, because it's not always going to be 100. Sometimes you only have 30%, you know, but let me tell you, today is my 30%, so that you could have empathy and understand where I'm coming from. And I think that that's just how I navigate now. And I have to express that for myself.
And when you have that level of communication and you're able to express those feelings, you enable each other to not take things personal.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
Well, guys, they have to go.
Oh, I couldn't talk to y'all for so much longer.
Damn. Ask one more question just for I want to ask the ministers here. You ever tried to help a person and then you realize they're the reason they have problems? Like nothing external. It's them. How do you convey that?
Well, it's funny. Charlamagne is hilarious, man.
Wait, can you ask the question again?
I'm just saying, you ever tried to help a person and then you realize they are the reason they have problems? They ain't nothing external.
Yes.
It's you.
Yes, I have been in that situation. And the thing is to be compassionate. You know,
Compassion.
because a lot of times it's very easy to. Well, let me put it this way: it's very hard for all of us to look in the mirror and actually hold and look at what we see. Because we don't like to look at the parts of ourselves that we want to change, that we're not happy with. And so in those situations, it's like, okay, before I'm just like trying to call the person out or anything, I say, okay, let's just have compassion, you know? And like, hey, the problem you're trying to solve, it may be because of the perspective that you have. Okay, well, why do you have that perspective? Well, let's talk about it. Because I think just creating an environment where there's no judgment and there's acceptance and that there can be communication, because trying to unpack something, whether it's trauma or tragedy or disappointments or things that you may have gone through years ago, trying to unpack that takes time. And I think sometimes we get so mad at people for not being where we want them to be. And we're all on a journey in this thing called life, and we're at different stages. So I just try to approach it with compassion and still clarity. You know, if someone comes to me for help and they're asking my opinion, then I will give it. I will say, hey, you know, I think the reason why, you know, you may have been going through different relationships is because, you know, you keep bringing that mentality to each relationship. Instead of being the love you want to receive, you're looking for this person to provide you with what you're not doing for yourself. So you know, I'm still going to be honest, but I'm going to do it hopefully in a compassionate and loving way, so that then that they can actually take it in. Because if I come with the sledgehammer, you know, and I come with, why aren't you doing this? Then the help that I could have provided them, I missed the opportunity.
Exactly.
Because I'm trying to impose my process on them instead of being compassionate, loving. Hey, here's some things you could look at. And then everyone then has to make a committee of one to make the decision. You know what? Okay, I'm going to make some changes and I'm going to do the work because I want the reflection of my life to change. So
be compassionate, Baldy.
But at what point do you say, you know what, you got to figure this out on your own, though?
Well, you know, again, I think every situation is different. I mean, I think everyone always has to figure out on their own. So, you know, it's never that. But if someone is coming to me, like specifically wanting me to fix their problem, you know, at a certain point, I would be like, hey, you know, it's not my responsibility to fix the problem, but I can give you information. I can give you strategy. I can give you a point of view that if you use it, given my experience, I believe it'll work. But ultimately, if you're relying on me to do your work, then you want me to provide a subsidy to the work that you're not willing to do. And if I do that for you, it's not going to help you, and it's certainly not going to help me. So it really, it's a process, you know, but it's not, I try not to like cut people off, you know, even if they want me to do something, it's like, okay, I get that, but that's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to be a support system, and it's your responsibility to take on the charge to do the work.
Do baptisms actually?
Why you shaking your head, man?
Cutting people off. I mean, that's easy for me.
He said, show a little empathy. Don't cut him off.
I know you ain't talking.
You know me. I ain't say me. I said you. I said you. You know me. I'm like, all right. Well, we appreciate you guys for joining us. Thank you so much. Make sure you check it out. It's on Netflix now.
And P-Valley season 3 on the way.
That's right.
Yes. We've been waiting.
DeVon, Franklin, Serayah, and Tyler Lepley. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I got your name right. I made sure I was like, I practiced in my head.
You
It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Thank y'all.
Every day I wake up, wake your ass up. The Breakfast Club.
Y'all finished or y'all done?